From Washington, this is VOA News. New Army chief in Pakistan, U.S. reaffirms defense treaty with Japan. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. Pakistan's Prime Minister named a replacement for Army Chief General Ashfaq Kayani, ending weeks of media speculation and anxiety within the country, all of that prompted by an unprecedented delay in the announcement. Ayaz Gul reports from Islamabad.
The Prime Minister's office in a brief statement said that General Raheel Sharif has been promoted and appointed as the new Chief of Army Staff, the most powerful post in Pakistan. The new commander, who is not related to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, will take charge of the world's sixth largest military on Friday when its incumbent chief, General Ashfaq Pervez Kayani, retires. Wednesday's announcement came as Pakistan faces an increasingly violent insurgency by Islamist militants, commonly referred to as the Pakistani Taliban. The army has conducted major operations to uproot bases of these extremists, who are mainly entrenched in the northwestern tribal belt near the Afghan border. Ayaz Gul for VOA News, Islamabad.
Afghan President Hamid Karzai is remaining steadfast in that he says he'll wait until his country's presidential election in April before signing a security pact with the United States. In an interview with U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty Wednesday, Mr. Karzai said the U.S. was first to end attacks on Afghan homes and help jumpstart a stalled peace process before he will sign the agreement. In a separate interview with Afghanistan's Tolo television, U.S. National Security Advisor Susan Rice said Mr. Karzai must sign the agreement by the end of this year, or the U.S. will have no choice but to withdraw all troops after 2014. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel reaffirmed the U.S.-Japan Defense Treaty applies to a group of disputed islands that were included in China's bid to establish an air defense zone. Secretary Hagel spoke Wednesday with his Japanese counterpart to discuss the security situation in the East China Sea. Thai opposition protesters expanded their demonstrations across the capital, Bangkok, Wednesday, vowing to take over every government ministry until Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra resigns. The protesters have already taken over parts of the finance and foreign ministries and surrounded the interior ministry. Prime Minister Yingluck has refused to step down and is calling for dialogue to resolve the situation. Russian security forces have arrested 15 heavily armed suspected Islamist radicals who allegedly belong to a banned extremist group. Russian officials say members of Takfir wal-Hijra were detained Wednesday as police found explosives, guns, and other weapons in a raid on an apartment in Moscow. Authorities in Mali have arrested the leader of last year's coup, General Amadou Sanogo, and charged him with murder. Those charges are in connection with the killing of Army Red Beret soldiers in April 2012 during a counter-coup attempt. Some Nigerians will be recasting their votes this weekend in the country's third try at its first gubernatorial election since major political realignments. Heather Murdoch has details.
The race for Anambra State governor was originally held 2 weeks ago, the first of its kind since the ruling People's Democratic Party split and 4 opposition parties merged. If the election had demonstrated growing support for the main opposition party in the heart of President Goodluck Jonathan's Southern support base, it might have indicated the possibility of an upset in 2015. Instead, the election itself was a train wreck, and residents in some areas are heading to the polls for the third time this weekend to try again. Heather Murdoch for VOA News, Abuja.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani says his country will not stop its nuclear enrichment activity while pledging to have constructive interaction with the international community. In an interview on IRIB television, Mr. Rouhani said Iran has a right to enrichment and will never stop. Earlier this week, Iran agreed to an interim deal with the permanent members of the UN Security Council in Germany to limit portions of its nuclear program in exchange for targeted relief from international sanctions. President Obama followed decades of tradition Wednesday by pardoning the national Thanksgiving turkey. The holiday in the United States is a time for family gatherings with sumptuous turkey feasts. Tradition says the first American Thanksgiving occurred in 1621, when early North American settlers gave thanks for their harvest after a harsh winter. Snow, sleet, and rain are complicating some holiday plans for millions of Americans right now. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News.